Somebody in the way, battling, having got in way of the attempted clearance. Jim Gannon. Oh, great flick on Alan Armstrong.
Piece against Bradford, but here's Warburton!
Yes!
Oh! And then trying to manufacture the shot, gets it away, yeah!
Not got it clear. Please, it's a cracker!
Running Armstrong, played in the game, and a superb goal!
Tony Goody! Stockport County are the champions of League Two.
Hello and welcome to this very happiest of birthdays to the Scarf Bagara War with Andy, Waggie and me, Russ Johnson. How's it going, boys?
All right, very good. A happy new year to everybody, as this is my first appearance this year.
It's your first appearance for about 3 months, isn't it? From what I can remember.
I'm popular, so I'll come back.
by popular demand, is that what we're saying?
By popular demand.
Yeah. Happy New Year. I was just saying off air then that it's weird that we should still be saying that, shouldn't we? But it's almost like because we had the game on New Year's Day, that went and New Year's done then, isn't it? So yeah. But we should really still be saying happy New Year and happy birthday.
Yeah, very much happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the pod.
I can count to 10 because I've got 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, so it's quite easy to count.
It's funny that, isn't it? Counting to 10's been a problem today, hasn't it?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable problem today. We've got a packed show tonight, so we'd probably best rattle through it. Loads of people saying happy birthday. Thank you very much. Loads of people online, all the usual names there. So strap in, and we will get cracking. On tonight's show then, we're going to talk about Palace, obviously. We've got a Reading Oppo preview with Johnny Hunt from the 1871 podcast, a Reading podcast. Got fan guest Gaz Eccleston. It's not his debut, but we're going to treat it like his debut because we didn't have the debut questions when he made his debut. Have I said debut enough there?
So was he on loan last time and now he's been signed? So this is his
permanent deal.
Debut. Yeah, permanent deal.
Yeah. Never fall in love with a fan guest. I mean, loan player.
I like that. We're going to talk transfers. So I think there's 2 or 3 names out there that are doing the rounds. We'll have a quick chat about those. We've got some admin. If you have got a question you wanted to ask us or you want anything for us to discuss, do pop it into the chat. If you listen to this back and you got a question or something you want us to discuss in a future episode, then do send us an email, contact@scarpagarawar.co.uk, or send us a message on socials, or just ask us in the concourse or whatever. Make sure we're not drunk because we forget stuff. I think that's about it, isn't it? I think should we get Gaz out?
Yeah, let's.
Evening, Gaz.
Hello. You okay?
Welcome to your full-time debut.
Thank you. Just hoping for a signing on fee if it's permanent.
Oh. We could easily get rid of you.
The signing on fees, you don't have to speak to Andy in the concourse on Saturday. A week on Saturday.
I'll take that.
Thanks.
So, Gaz, we'll come to you in a bit. We'll ask you the questions that we ask everyone that's making a debut. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know you anyway and know your face at least because you've been going county since you're about 3 or something really early.
A fair while, yeah. A fair while. So, yeah, probably know the face, but as you say, how many people, is that the case now? You might know them, you might not even know the name, but you end up nodding and saying hello, don't you? So
yeah. Absolutely.
I do it every week with Russ and Waggie.
But then we go back to the reference point of you being drunk.
I seem to have this title. I don't know where it's come from. Anyway, you carry on, Russ.
Usually actions and not words, generally, I find. Right, shall we get Johnny out from the 1871 podcast to preview Saturday's match against Reading? Evening, Johnny.
Evening, guys. Birthdays. I've just survived my 53rd over in Reading, and I survived my daughter's 5th birthday today. So I feel your pain, and I think I need a beer as well. So cheers.
Yeah, congratulations.
It was gracious.
Are your ears still ringing from a 5th birthday party?
Yeah, which was the harder
yeah,
one?
yeah. You get too old for these things. Like, chucking being a Reading fan on top of it. It's a very tortured life we lead.
So, Reading against Stockport County on Saturday. Tell us a bit about Reading and your current, do we call it plight or do we call it situation? What do we call it? I mean, you tell us.
It's just a never-ending nightmare, really, isn't it? That's all we talk about is how depressing it is. So the latest is we haven't sold any players this transfer window, which is a bonus for us as fans. It is actually, where are we now? The 13th of January last year, we had the pitch invasion against Port Vale with the Sell Before We Die campaign. And a year later, we're still no closer to having a new owner. It's horrible. Like I wouldn't wish on any fan, any club, anyone. He's basically walked away from the club, and we're literally living month by month at the minute, it seems, because they're having to, last January we had to sell players to basically pay for wages. Then we had Rob Kuig from Wickham, who decided to buy a training ground, then realised he actually couldn't, then tried to buy the club, and then Di Young wouldn't let him. And now we're waiting for a possible new owner whose wife is apparently a fan of the club. But we've been here so many times. I'm on the supporters trust at Reading. I'm actually on the board there as well. So it's stressful. It's just a never-ending nightmare. You've probably seen the journey. 18 points deducted over the last 3 years. Our owner's in deep. I won't use the word online, but he's in a mess over in China with all his dodgy dealings. And the only positive thing is, like you guys, I don't think any thought would be in the playoffs this season, and you just outside it. So it's it's going to be an interesting game. Like on the positive side of things, we hope that things get resolved. We keep thinking it might get resolved one day, but like the pitch. We've got a great team. I know we got battered by you earlier on, but we'll move on from that. And we'll, at home, our home form has been brilliant. But, what I love about our team is the fact that they go out there fighting for each other. And, they're a bunch of young lads, pretty much, we're still under, I think that's our 5th year without actually having to buy anyone on for a transfer fee because of all the embargoes we've been under. Because So we're fighting above our weight, and we're doing well, and it's just a pleasure to watch the team do that as a fan. I'm sure you guys appreciate that yourselves. Like, you watch a team have the spirit and the connectivity with the fans and the battle and everything you ask for. They get the odd bad result, but I wouldn't change it for the world after the amount of dross I've had to watch over the last few years.
Yeah. Is there a sense of like togetherness, like with the players because of everything that's going on off the pitch? It's like you sort of get behind them a bit more, don't you?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys know, the journey last season with, the Sell Before We Die campaign started, I think, back in October of 23. We had a protest march up the ground, which is brilliant. 2,000 people, I think, were involved in that. And then the tennis ball protests and all the stuff. And then the abandonment of the game was kind of like the last one that, affected the games. But then, the protests have never been at the players or the manager or whatever. But, Ruben Sellers at the time, who did an amazing job in horrific circumstances, was kind of the voice person for the club. And, unfortunately, he left not so long ago to go to Hull. But then, it's been a bit of a journey for him. Why'd you go to Hull after your journey at Reading? But there we go, another story. But good luck to him. He was an absolute star. And now we've got Noel Hunt, who's been involved in the under-21s. Obviously, he's a bit of a Reading legend as a player. and a good surname as well. You know, not related, unfortunately, but we move on. He's taken on the mantle and is doing the same amazing work that Ruben started. So there's lots of positives, but it's just this something, that hangs over you constantly about, what's going to happen with the club. We've had lots of possible ownership things happening and nothing's happened. Di Young's been involved in a couple of liquidations of clubs around the world, directly, indirectly. It's hard. Like, as any fan of a club, you win or lose a game, but when your club's on the possibility of either, going to administration or liquidation, it's a bit bigger and more important than football, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And all that considered, I mean, you're still sat in 6th, 3 points above us with a game in hand. I mean, what were the expectations before the season started?
Just to survive, to be honest. That was literally our fan base's view, was literally hope we can avoid relegation again, because we just don't know what's going to happen with the club. But like I said, and you guys have done the same as well. I don't think anyone would have put both of our clubs to be up where we are now. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but because of the money clubs in the league and whatever, we can't spend any money. We haven't been able to have any sort of transfers. The only one we had was Chad Campbell. You got a loan, and then he actually wrote to the club. Star wrote to the club, and somebody else wrote to the club, to the EFL, sorry, and basically said, "Look, please, can we have a player?" We're in that position. We can't actually buy anyone, or we're under this embargo, so the owner's gone. So it's a mess. But I love watching. Even though we lost on Saturday, I went to the cup game against Burnley. We lost 3-1. We took them to extra time. But the fight is unreal. Like, we've got, guys that Tyler Binden is probably one of the most. I rate him so much as a young centre back. He is a kid from 19, come from New Zealand, America. He's unreal. He's an absolutely unreal, cool, calm, collected player that's playing above his years. The last one we had there was Michael Elise. Was the sort of same kind of mindset. But the rest of the lads, like Charlie Savage, his dad's Robbie. They want to be at the club. They fight for each other. They go out there and they do us proud, and the fans back them. And it's a united spirit. I can't say any higher about the whole. Despite the disaster off the pitch, you couldn't wish for a more united club. And whatever happens Saturday for you guys, we'll fight the next game. We'll fight the next one. And Hunty, as a manager. He's got that Reading spirit installed in him, and he'll send the lads out to do us proud. And probably the slight difference from Sellers is that he's tightened up defensively, especially away from home. Our away form was pretty awful. But he's just tinkered with things, and he's worked with a lot of because you can't buy players. A lot of the young academy players he's seen through the ages. And like Garcia, who's 16, playing first team football, was ridiculous in any other world. It's they're ready to play. That's the beauty of it. They know what the team needs and wants, and they're ready to go for it and put themselves out there. And probably for us as a club, like for kids or young players, it's like, well, you're going to get a chance to play. You're not going to be held up by some 35-year-old journeyman who, he's just there for his wages. So it's a win-win situation, I think. And, we'll see what happens on Saturday. You guys are doing great. So it's like, it's going to be a tough game.
I think with all that going on, Johnny, you seem really positive. I love it.
You guys know, if you survived all the stuff that's gone on, and it's your club. The match stuff and the day stuff is not as important as the community and the fan base and having our club as still there. We're 1871 we were born, and it means the world to me. I live over here in Ireland. I mean, I've lived elsewhere. It's my place. Like going back to the weekend, last weekend was just unreal. Regardless of the result of the football, it's about what you guys talk about is your Stockport community, your thing. It's our thing. It's our football world. We love it, and we love at the minute. We've had probably 10 years of kind of average teams that have been die young. He spent ridiculous amounts of money on the club, in players wise, but he had that Kia Yabachong, the super agent in his pocket, and wasting money on average players. But now because we've got nothing other option, you're seeing all these young lads go and actually want to play for the shirt, and you can't put a price on that effort. You're not expecting to win every game. They just go out and do their best for the club, and that's just unreal. You can't be prouder of them.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like the shackles are off, isn't it? Tell us a bit about the shape that Noel Hunt plays. Then is it what are we going to expect on Saturday in terms of shape, style?
I can't tell you, that's confidential. Come on, seriously,
Don't worry, nobody watches this. Honestly.
Oh look, I think our kind of away shape is we're a bit more under Noel compared to Ruben. We're a bit less gung ho and a bit more organised and a bit more. We're just sitting. We went up to Cambridge and beat them. He's a bit more cagey. I think that's probably the best way I'd describe it. We basically go out to not letting goals. Our away form was so bad, so we didn't actually win a game for about a year. But when you've got like our system, unfortunately, Mbengwe is out injured, which is one of our key players. But Harley Dean has been probably someone that hasn't played regularly for whatever reason that goes on behind the scenes. But I've always said, as an away game, Harley Dean, you can't beat his experience. Ex-Birmingham, 33. He's old school centre back. He does what he needs to, and a team that we have as young players, that's a leader. But we've got so many leaders. You've got Lewis Wing, who's is a late 20s, played around the leagues. It's kind of, I would say, kind of we kind of go 4-3-3. That's kind of the system that we've played, and Noel hasn't changed that. But I think he's just kind of tightened up the defensive stuff with regards. Kind of, we haven't. It's kind of like these young lads are coming in. Abrief has played right back, and we've not had kind of regularly players left back. We've got Garcia stepping in, Jarrell Dorset, who's actually a centre back. They're sometimes it's square peg round holes, but they just know what they're expected to do. And like you got someone like Sam Smith, who's very good at this level. Harvey Nibbs, Charlie Savage, who has come on leaps and bounds this year. He chose to leave Man United to play men's football at our level, which is a big risk for a kid like that, with his dad's reputation. But he's unreal. They're learning on the job. It's that's what football's about. It's about and they've got this massive bond of even though when Ruben left, we had a couple of bad results, but under Hunty they've got that back. And Noel is Reading through and through. Even it must be a Hunty surname thing that we just love the club, and he installs that into the team that you're going up there, you're playing for the team, you're playing for the club, you're playing for the fans, and you can see that they play with pride. And like we know, we're going to get the bad result every now and again, but none of us would have thought we'd be where we are at this time of the season, at the start of the season, because just the way things have been. So it's kind of like it'd be a good game on Saturday. I hope we win, as I always do. But you guys are flying, so it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's not going to be easy for us, to be fair. But we say this every week, so we'll crack on with that. Right, last thing then, and I'll let you go. You sounded positive. Give us a score prediction for Saturday.
Oh, no, that's unfair. I've had a long day, lads, with a 5-year-old's birthday. Come on.
I lied when I said we'd give you easy questions.
No. That's the hardest one, actually. What do I want for my birthday, Dad? Oh, okay. How are we going to get on Saturday? Okay, that's it. I know you won't have me back after I say this, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Reading.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you were going to say 4-1, to be honest. To get us
No,
back
I
for
want to
the
come back on again. So I was being nice.
Reverse it.
That's fair enough. It's all about opinions at the end of the day. We don't have to agree with them. I know I don't.
I'd just say you've been in good form over Christmas. You know, I look at County and we played well but not got the results. Whereas Reading, I just had a quick look at your results and you've crept right up by, you know, winning, not getting beat. So I think it'd be a tough tie.
Yeah, it will be. It's not going to be easy, especially probably with a raucous crowd behind them as well in Berkshire. Johnny, thank you so much for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Cheers, Johnny.
You go and get your head down.
Cheers,
get some quiet time in a dark room.
Go on, find a darkened room.
Good luck for the rest of the season as well, apart from Saturday.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
What you do.
All right.
Thanks for the invite.
Cheers, see you later.
Right.
Bye now.
Cheers.
So there we go. Johnny from 1871 podcast. You kind of feel sorry for them in a way, sympathise, don't you? Because of the shit they're going through. I say it every week. I listen to the Price of Football podcast. Reading feature regularly on it because of the amount of shit they're going through. So wish them all the best after Saturday, obviously. There we go. We'll talk a bit about Reading more later. Get me words out. Let's focus our attention on Gaz, the County fan, obviously. We didn't ask you the questions first time you came on. We're going to ask him you now. Do you remember your first match?
So I guess the short answer is no. I know roughly when it was free tickets through school. So it was either 96 or 97. It was a home game. That's about as much I know. So I don't know the result, but I know it was there or thereabouts. First away game, though, I know that one. That was Swindon away. 1-1. Tony Dinning scored from about 30 yards. And yeah, I think that was like around 99. So that was a good game. That was my first away game on the county juniors coach. I always remember that one. That one sticks out.
Blimey, county juniors coach.
That is going back. Yeah.
That's some journey as well with Swindon, as like you say, on a junior
Yeah.
support coach. I bet that was bedlam.
Well, I went with my mum.
50
I went with my mum as a little kid. Yeah.
It's out there. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
That's it. I think we scored early as well, so it was like, great, we're going to win. And then it was like, you pulled back, and I think it was a bit of a drab game. But yeah, long way to do your first, isn't it? So
Yeah, definitely.
Fair dues. Fair dues.
Yeah.
Favorite goal you've seen?
favorite goal, did you say?
Yeah.
Rather than the obvious ones, I was thinking about it before. I thought that the goal that's made me go like berserk, and it was more because where we were at the time, and I would say it was the Adnan Chirac goal against. It was at Gates, playing Gateshead at Hartlepool. So it was we had to score to basically not get relegated. So I just remember standing there, legs shaking, lip going, eyes almost crying, and then he scored that goal, and I went mental to it. So obviously, there's more exciting, obvious goals. Your Liam Dickinson goal in the playoffs or whatever. But I remember that one for all probably the wrong reasons and prolonged the inevitable relegation. But I just went absolutely mental at that moment. So I remember that one.
Nice. You must. I'm guessing you're the only county fan that Adnan Chirac has scored their favourite goal.
That was it. I just thought, rather than like, yes, for a positive reason, that was more like relief and hope.
Yeah.
Because honestly, all the feelings going through at the time, I took the day off, half a day from work to get there, and I literally thought my life, it's going to end, it's going to be horrible, and then glimmer of hope. Prolonged it for about 3 days, but yeah, I just remember that's like a county moment that sticks out for me.
Nice one. I like that one. I like it. Favorite match, like overall, most memorable match.
Yeah, I think I'll go more obvious with that one. But as a kid, I'd say the Tony Dinning 2-1 City, penalty. That again, I remember how excited I was. I went on the juniors coach again. remember arriving on the road beforehand where all the houses have like metal fences on. So I was pretty intimidated as a kid. And I just, there's so many pockets of that day that I could pick out for you. And, I closed my eyes and I could remember it as if I was there. And after all that excitement, I went home, told my dad, who's not a football fan, I was, oh my God, we've beat City, we scored. And he's like, oh, nice one. And like, just not over the top. He was just like, oh no, back down to reality. But yeah, obviously that one, I don't think it's ever going to get beaten, is it, in terms of like the import? Well, it's not important, I guess, but again, a moment and a memory that, it's going to be hard to match.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, good shout. And finally, favourite player? You can have past, you can have present. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'd probably go, again, looking through the eyes of a kid where football's a bit more pure. I don't know all the nonsense behind the scenes. I'd say like Kevin Cooper. Like, he was my hero as a kid. A goal he scored, again, one that sticks out was we got battered by Fulham 4-1 away. And they scored 5 minutes in, £1 million players. And Cooper, I think he picked up the ball halfway line, a couple of passes and got the ball and bagged it in the box. So we equalised straight away. Probably only a few hundred of us in the terrace behind the goal. But yeah, he was just a hero. He got it. He was ace. He was positive, attacking, loved it, didn't he? So yeah, he's like my favourite of all time, I guess.
Yeah, he's right up there for best loan players, if in my eyes, that we've had. In fact, there's probably him and Louis Barry, really. I can't remember. Well, a question to everybody. Can you remember another loan player that's had such an impact as them two?
Probably not. Yeah, they be top of the tree, don't they?
Well,
yeah.
Actually, yes. Harpal Singh, when we got him on loan, was absolutely brilliant.
He was.
I mean, he was fast. He was exciting. He had tricks. He had everything. Then we signed him, and then he didn't have everything. So in terms of
Kevin Hurst or someone like that playing with him.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, these are great. And then they just weren't, were they?
Yeah. Andy's put into the chat here, Eddie McGoldrick. Now, obviously, he went on to be a legend at Palace, so we're on brand and very topical. But he only played 2 or 3 times, didn't he? He doesn't stick out for me as being, like a wow player. But hey.
No, there's been loads, haven't there? What about that guy from Watford, Don Blizzard? He was like,
oh yeah, he was pretty. Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gleeson, Stephen Gleeson.
Gleeson,
yeah.
That was.
I'm gonna shut you down, Russ.
What have the Romans ever done for us? What have the Romans ever done for us? Yeah, there's probably loads, isn't there? Who gives a shit? Right, let's move on.
We don't know yet.
So obviously, Gaz, just get involved in the chat. I think what we're going to do straight away is move on to a bit of this. And Palace on Sunday, and I said Saturday then. I thought I did really well.
I like the way that South of Wales basically pushed him forward and said, "You do it, you do it. It's for you, you do it."
Yeah,
you didn't have a choice, did you?
Yeah, I thought I did really well with my willpower on Sunday. I promised myself I wasn't going to drink, and I lasted. I promised myself I weren't going to drink on the coach, and when the coach turned up at 7 o'clock, and I think I got to 27 minutes past 7 before I had a can in my hand drinking. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
That's pretty good willpower, to be fair.
Yeah,
I remember.
We were proud of you. We were proud of you.
The way home at the service station, it was like you have 15 minutes to go and get some food. So I went to KFC, and I remember you caught my eye as I walked out, and you had some like crates on your shoulders or whatever. I don't know what that was, but I was done by that time. I was ready to sleep, and you were like, party time. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like a box of Pringles. Once I pop, I can't stop. So I was getting the beers. I was getting the beers for the second leg on the way home. If that makes sense. They were all sharing. Yeah,
goosed by that
Sorry,
time.
I just need to do a little bit of housework.
Right, well, yes, right. This for all the audio listeners.
Yeah,
Waggy is waving around what we call a grabber. You know the things that grab things and picks it up without an extendable hand, basically. So, to a quick insight to why this has come about is because on the way back, I was drunk, like really drunk, and my glasses were on the back seat, and my glasses fell back down to the bit between the window and the back seat. And I just went, oh, I can't reach it. Has anyone got a grabber? Russ is in stitches laughing because he's like, who's got a grabber? Nobody has a grabber, on a bus. Lo and behold, half an hour later, someone's gone into one of the boxes on the coach. And guess what's there? A grabber.
I've never seen a grabber on a coach before. I've just put that out there. Anyway.
To be fair, neither have I till then.
Well, there you go. So, Gaz, what was your day like? How did you think it went?
Yeah, got down there on the coach. Loads of excitement from everyone. I don't think there was expectation, was there? It was almost like we've got a free hit today. Let's go and enjoy ourselves. Thought the Palace fans were quite respectful with it as well. I think, the old guard will know that actually they had their moment at Edgeley Park, staying up that time.
After the handball.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't begrudge them that, we had nothing to play for, and fair play the scenes that they had on that day. But yeah, I think everyone went there going, do you know what? Let's give it a good shot. Let's see how we can hold our own against some pretty fantastic players. And yeah, I think everyone just seemed to be bundled in that pub before the game, didn't they? It was pretty busy in there. I can't think of that. Is it the Prince George it was called or something like that? Everyone was in. But yeah, I thought atmosphere, unbelievable. Really Larry with the fact that everyone's probably had a good drink, but I saw loads of kids there as well. People acknowledging that it's probably a moment of recent times as well. They haven't experienced not only, stadium, fair play to their fans as well, filling the ground, fair play to the club for pricing it right as well, because for us, it's a pretty expensive day for reality, defeat that's, likely inevitable. But wow, held our own, feared the worst again with this early goal. It's becoming a bit of a habit now, isn't it? I felt that way at Huddersfield where, come on, let's give it a go. We've got all the county fans behind us. And then it's like, oh, here we go. But again, reacted pretty well. But yeah, I just thought what an atmosphere. Everyone was up for it, weren't they? And yeah, the Icelandic clap at the end kind of caused a bit of a hoo-ha of, whatever. But I'm just it's a friendly welcome to someone that probably didn't expect to play, probably shouldn't have played, but needs must. Didn't do bad, didn't really have much impact, but what can you expect for 15 minutes? But
yeah, of course, yeah. First game in English football, for a long time, isn't it? So
exactly, and what a move for him. It's a life change, not just come and get a job somewhere else. Probably a young kid. Good luck to him. There's nothing more to it than that. Hope he does well, but I don't know whether it's going to be more emerging talent type player or whether he's going to be thrown in the deep end at a later stage.
What did you, and Andy Waggy, well, come to Andy first. What did you make of Alafi's performance? Because I've watched the highlights back just to remind myself what happened. Because I do remember it on the day. I do remember it, but he was a nuisance, wasn't he?
I don't know who you are. Are you asking me or Waggy?
I asked you, Andy. Yeah, you.
Yeah, brilliant. For what I do remember it, let's be honest. I was going to try and watch the highlights before this podcast, actually. But it just caused them problems all game from start to finish. It was exciting. The whole day was exciting. And I believe if we'd not gone a goal down early, do you think we would have put up a big of a fight? I don't think we would have done. So it's one of those games. It didn't feel like a loss at the end of it. And it's, for me, and I know your question was about Tanto, but the whole day, it's got to be up there for one of my favourite away games. Everything about it, the whole day. You know, chatting with the Crystal Palace fans in a Crystal Palace pub before the game.
Yeah,
they were just all very welcoming. Not one single player was giving you the eyes or anything at all, and they treated everyone with respect. Even the banter between both sets of fans, it has to be up there for me. I've done a lot of away trips, but it has to be up there. And we lost the game as well. Most people say, "What's your favourite ever away game?" It's normally a game you've won, isn't it?
Yeah.
But a free hit game, the banter with both sets of fans, the banter with the people that you're travelling with, the game itself, we held our own against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And I know that they had their sort of poor bit of form. They didn't play to how they would normally play, but we still held our own against Crystal Palace. Tanto, it just hit that chance. It was just...
Oh. Yeah, but these are the moments, though, aren't they, where the quality comes through. So yeah, we held our own. I think Charlie alluded to it, that we didn't really. We sort of tried to contain them by and then trying to get half chances or when chances come along, you've got to take them. Gay did get a touch to deny Wootton, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the first half. And Turner made a really good save from Tanto in the second. I know Wootton had the chance as well with the header, which was probably further away than... Well, I think it was a bit further away than we thought. And these are these little margins, aren't they? Waggy, did anybody else stand out for you?
I don't think anybody had a bad game. Pi was unbelievable. Pi he was just there all the time, wasn't he? Everything every attack that they had, Pi just seemed to be the player that was putting it in. But I just say he made Tanto, for me, made their defence look like League One.
Terrified.
Yeah, they were absolutely to his pace, and that's his best game that he's had so far this season for me. He just looked back to being Tanto, which that can only stand us for a good stead for the rest of the season. Because if he can use that pace against League One defences, then they are going to be terrified because he's going to be getting in behind a lot. And he looked as if he wasn't necessarily just looking to shoot. He was looking to get a ball to Wootton or to get the ball back across, which I don't think we've seen that much of Tanto in past. He's just sort of head down, I'm going to shoot. But he looks as if he's, like, say, changed that. But yeah, I think Pi looked really good. Camps looked good as well. Camps seemed to be everywhere. It was just it was an absolutely superb performance, which I thought we did definitely deserve to take it to at least extra time. But there's that class difference, wasn't there, with Eze and his goal? He just got it spun and it was in the bottom corner. I think a good shout as well to Adai. I thought he had a good game and his distribution was really good, and that distribution with Tanto's pace caused them a lot of issues. So you could probably, every player was at least a 7, wasn't he? Realistically, I don't think there's anybody that didn't put a shift in.
Yeah,
and go on, Gaz.
I was just going to say, with Barry leaving, we need players to step up. We know what we've got with Tanto, 20-goal striker in the division below. Lacking a bit of confidence, had a bit of a niggle, but he looked like he was back. And as you say, I was desperate for him to score. And even when they got their goal and they're singing their whoever's on fire and we're all singing about Tanto.
We're singing Tanto.
They had a few looks going like, are we joining in with them or whatever? But imagine we'd got a goal and like it was leery enough that away end, like it would have erupted. And yes, if you're at the back of the stand, the view was pretty poor because the roof is that low. But acoustically, that like just made us sound ridiculous on some of these vlogs that I've seen.
I was quite surprised how flat their crowd was, because obviously I'd heard a lot previously about how big, how much of an atmosphere the crowd creates. Now I don't know if that is because it's a cup game, because it's against the League One side, that type of thing. But they seemed to be noisy about 5 or 10 minutes after they'd scored the goal, and then they weren't very excitable, were they, after that for me? And I think it was all just us, wasn't it, creating the atmosphere?
Could that be because, similar to what I've said previously, when you're in the Cheadle end, you can't hear any other parts of the ground.
Yeah.
So is that because obviously we went a goal down, we then raised our atmosphere, and therefore we just drowned out whatever they were making anyway? I couldn't hear. I've not watched it back on the highlights either. So I do have a quick question about the goal, and I've not seen it back on the highlights. Could I done better and saved it a little bit? The only reason I asked that is because, and I'm not having a go at a die here, I thought he was probably the best game he's played in a county shirt. But it was a cracking goal, but it just looked slow from what I've seen. So could he have done better?
For me,
no. Not from what I looked at. But so go on, Gaz.
I was just going to say, Bailey, the ball seems to bounce off him a few times. If you look back at the Mansfield game at home, we lose that ball by Bailey in the midfield. They run through and score the second goal. With that goal, Palace, I just think the quality, how fast they are, you haven't got a chance really, have you? So maybe it's a bit unfair, but I like
England international
forward, but defensively, we're getting exposed a little bit. A few goals have been recent, maybe to highlight it perhaps, and that's what I noticed really. I thought he did well. I thought Adai did well, considering he's not really been playing. Again, probably lack of confidence, needs some character to stand up and actually get out there and perform to his best. And I think he did all right.
Yeah,
he did. There's some comments coming through then. So let's just have a look at these. So Nick 10 agrees with you, Andy. So yeah, again, slow to move his feet before diving. I think that's what Jamie was going on about on the coach on the way back. He had that opinion. And then Gazendo says it was a good goal. Ben probably wouldn't save it either. I personally think that, it was almost like who was that guy we just Louis Barry. It was like Louis Barry's against Wrexham, wasn't it? Right. Do you know when he sort of gets the ball, swivels, then has a shot? I mean, as it was low, Louis Barry's was high. I wonder if there was another defender in front of that was almost blocking Adai's seeing the trigger point. Maybe he wasn't expecting it and saw it at the point that he struck the ball. And we're talking about milliseconds here, aren't we?
Well. Yeah, he hit it really quickly, didn't he? He only took one touch, maybe two touches, didn't he? As soon as it bounced off Bailey, he got it and he had his back to Bailey, so Bailey couldn't get the ball, moved it out from his feet, and then just hit it with his right foot. So maybe he could have, but I don't think I know it's irrelevant. And saving it either if he was in.
And I know it's irrelevant because we've lost and the game's done. But I need to go and watch the highlights actually, because I think you might be right, Russ. It's very rare for a keeper to go down so late unless he's being blocked by, because normally I back and favour the goalkeepers because I used to be one. So it wasn't any criticism. Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think as a
I
team,
won't ask any more questions though.
I was just going to say, being switched on in the first 5 or 10 minutes, like Challinor must be all over that now because it's just as a team, are we ready enough? Were we a bit phased by the occasion or what?
Definitely,
no more distractions, though, is there? No more distractions now, just league.
No, but your lad said it, Russ, as well. If we could put a performance like that against Palace, we'll be fine in the league, no problems.
Yeah. He's just doing that. I think, Gaz, you're right. The wider problem, probably Charlie's priority, is the early goal because we're conceding early goals in a lot of games, aren't we?
I don't know how long we can ride this wave of we're playing really well, but getting nothing from the game, because ultimately, long term, you'll lose your job with that, won't you? So he's got to nip that in the bud.
Yeah, but absolutely.
I think that's a catalyst, isn't it? We can go there and give them a game like we've done. Then, as Andy's just said, we shouldn't worry about the rest of the season. If we can nip that in the bud, the first 5 minutes, if we can be on the front foot, then we're going to start worrying a lot of teams. We're going to start getting results against even the big teams and stuff like that. So,
I think 100% agree.
Yeah. Final word on Palace then. I think it goes to Gazendo. I'm going to do this. See what you think about this. put horse and bait in that side, and I think we would have nicked it. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah.
I know it's all hypothetical.
Yeah, I think so. Those two and Barry have basically been the spine of our side, haven't they? You know what I mean? Put both of them in, then the three of them, they're guaranteed to start, and that's where everything happens. Where we stop play, where Bate creates the play, and where Barry's finishing. So they're the three players, and obviously Barry Lone is gone, and having those two out, I think, is a big loss. But I think Camps is good enough to be in that, sitting in that sort of Bate position. Pye, he's still going to play on the left hand side, but I think Connolly has stepped up quite well. I think his improvement over the season, I think quite impressed with him, considering officially he's playing out of position as well, isn't he? Because he's a defensive midfielder, but he's looked pretty decent. He had a couple of shaky games, hasn't he, playing on the right hand side of the defence, but putting him into the middle, I think he's looked decent. And I think Noel looks really good as a right centre back with Maka outside him, because them two seem to work very well, don't they? Overlapping and stuff like that. They're still getting forward.
They just swap over, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and they are different players, but they know, they can cross the ball, they can get forward. So, I think that's a really good dynamic to have, certainly down that side. And then, left hand side, I think Rydell's a more attacking option, but obviously Torre's a more safe option. I think that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, Horsfall's a huge loss, isn't it? Whereas you're quite right there. Connolly's actually stepped in and he's made a massive issue a lot smaller, because he's actually quite competent there, isn't he? So he's not just a filler for the squad. He's actually rising, and that's what we need again. Step up now and make your mark.
But then you do need a backup to sort of push Pye and Connolly, don't you? I don't think Sam Hughes is quite there yet. So we'll talk about it when we talk about transfers. But I do think we need someone that's going to push those two to get the best out of Connolly, to keep getting the best out of Connolly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's move on to transfers. Before we do, so I'll go through a slight bit of admin. So, special guest episodes, they're all there to watch if you are a Patreon member. We've got quite a lot now on there. Warren Feeney is the latest one. We are going to put the Warren Feeney one out as a sort of 10-minute teaser, but we've got Dave Conlon, Carlton Palmer, Sam Sheridan, Matty Warburton, Will Collar, Kenny Boxall, Liam Hogan, Fraser Horsfall, and Warren Feeney. And we've got a few irons in the fire as well with some big names. And I don't mean in length, I mean in stature. So yeah, get signed up to Patreon if you want to do that. It's £3 a month, and you get all of our content ad free, and plus full access to the special pods as well. And then a couple of things from a couple of fans that do some charity events. So Matt Brady is walking from Chadderton to Edgeley Park. Please do give that a sponsor if you can. The link is going in the chat now. And Andy Birchenough, Matt, if you're in the chat, please put it out. I think it's February you're doing that, if I'm right in saying. And then Andy Birchenough, is doing a walk, Fans versus Dementia for Dementia UK. So again, get that. Wow. Get that sponsored. Don't know why the link's not coming through that, but I'll put them into the description anyway. Right. Transfer talk then. That's not a new section. We're just going to talk about transfers. I've got three names for you that I've heard that are rumoured to be coming in. I think probably all on loan. Let's see if you've heard any of these names. Stefan Negru, Ethan Williams, and Nathan Lowe. Any takers for those three?
Nathan Lowe. I've heard of him, but I don't know much. I don't know much about any of them, to be honest.
Did Negru, is he one that's been at Salford?
Yeah.
And he's been recalled at Salford. But then the second one you mentioned, he's the United lad, isn't he? But isn't he allegedly that's gone? He's going to League Two.
Going to League Two now, yeah, we're hearing.
I mean, that's, again, all the stuff. I'll admit I don't know anything about them. It looks as if Negru sounds as if he's had a decent first half of the season at Salford. It sounds as if he's been pretty much one of their best players, and he's a centre back, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so maybe maybe
that's
that's
the one that Salford fans have been raving about, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, as Andy's saying about bringing a centre back in, maybe that's the backup that we need. But I don't know. Do we want to be bringing somebody in who's proven at League Two, or do we want to be sort of trying to get somebody that's like more League One to give us that stability that we're not going to have without horse falling?
Me personally, go on. You go, Gaz.
It's difficult. I think firstly, County now seem to keep the rumours in house. We don't get the leaks of like yesteryear, do we? So, do I know many of the names that have been mentioned? Not really. From a defensive point of view, I've heard of none of them. The only name that I heard recently was not linked with us, but a couple of fans said, "Oh, that would be nice," and it's the lad that's been recalled from Walsall, the Stoke player. So I don't know if that was
Nathan Lowe. That's one of the ones that was that was the one I mentioned. Yeah.
My fear, I guess, is the obvious replacement that we need is goals. And can we bring someone in that's going to have the impacts that we're crying out for? Probably not. We've had a fair few duds of loanees that have come in from a defensive point of view. Some of the United players, and you're like, oh. But they've gone on and done very well. So perhaps it's just setting timing or whatever. So I think it's likely to be a mixture of loans and maybe a signing here or there. But genuinely, I have no idea who's going to come in, and I've not really heard any rumours that stand out as yet. Sam Burns mentioned it or whoever that gives it a bit of validity.
Yeah, that's usually my sort of rubber stamp. When Sam Byrne mentions it, I think it's true. Well, not true, but it's obviously a very, very strong rumor. Where I'm getting these from is, so I'm not in the know myself. It's just what I've picked up. So the Salford one was, I got a private message from the Salford podcast. They heard something at their club that was going to happen. Ethan Williams has been doing the rounds anyway. I think we know about that, but it looks like he's going to a League Two club. And then Nathan Lowe. So Football League World reported that yesterday, that Nathan Lowe, that County were interested in Nathan Lowe. The other one is Andy's just mentioned it here. Macaulay Langstaff. That's one that I've heard as well doing the rounds. But we'll say doing the rounds. Rumour mill. There's a reason it's called the rumour mill, isn't it? So that's another one. And Andy, you were going to say something. What do you think, mate?
For me, I don't think we need to particularly looking at League One defenders. I just think we need an established, decent defender that will just push Connolly, because I think we've got a decent centre back in Connolly. But as I keep saying, as a constant throughout, you need those players to keep pushing you. Without that, I said it last week about Wootton. He needs someone to push him as well to get the best out of Wootton. But for me, I agree with what Gaz was saying. We need someone to replace goals from Barry, because I think that's where we are short or going to fall short, unless Tanto, because he's not fully fit and he wasn't fully fit against Palace. But if we can get a fully fit confident Palace Tanto, we will be fine for goals.
And let's be honest, Tanto wasn't really getting the minutes either. He was coming off the bench. So has he had a run it? No. So this might be his chance, and he's shown he can do it in the past. I just hope he can. He's a likable guy. I think he's going to go on and do better things long term. But he's got goals in him. So it's look in house first. What can we squeeze? And I think on the flip side, there's a few players that are miles off in terms, we spent a fair few quid on, maybe, I can never pronounce his name, but the lad from City.
Fiorini.
He feels like the modern day Ben Burgess. We spent how much on him? And he's
God. Yeah, don't dare get his name wrong. or they will have you in the comments, which I know about.
Is it not the same for Fiorini though? I mean, because he had an injury out in Pinitar, didn't he? I think, if I'm right in saying. And so he's kind of mirrored what Tanto's done in terms of preparation for the season, sort of being a bit part player coming in. Okay, I think when he's coming, he's not really impressed, but maybe he just needs a run in the team, and he's a forward-thinking player. So I'm starting to think. I'm kind of relaxed about it. I'm starting to think with Tanto, with Wootton, with Brecky or Benny or whatever we're calling him, Anderson, and then maybe Fiorini comes to the fore. And Diamond as well. That feels like enough for me. I don't know.
But do you think that they've sort of changed the mindset a little bit of it not just being loan players, that we're going to be bringing anybody permanent in? Because of Charlie's comments, he seemed to allude that it seems as if there's like a few deals that they're trying to get done. Now I don't know. Obviously, they can't all. If we're bringing. If we're going to be bringing 5 or 6 players in, which I'm not saying that we need to or we are going to, but he alluded to multiple players, not just like 1 or 2, because we said another centre back, a Barry replacement, and someone to push Wootton. So that's 3 players. It doesn't sound to me, the way Charlie was talking, is that we're only looking to get 3 players in. It sounds as if, to me, it sounds as if it was more than that, and to me, I don't think we're not going to get 5 or 6 loan players in, because I don't think we can we? We're not allowed. Is it maximum of 4 players you're allowed on loan? Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see what, I mean, in Wilson we trust. So if he's identified people of whatever that Challoner wants, then I'm sure we'll see something. And as Gaz alluded to earlier, is that we don't have that leaks anymore, do we? It's almost a done deal, and maybe they'll say, and you'll see Sam Byrne tweet about it, and then the next day it's announced that we've signed, XYZ. Yeah. So I think it sounds like there'll be more than what we think. And Charlie's the man. He knows exactly what we want. He knows where we need to improve. We know where we need to strengthen the squad. And I'm sure we always seem to be stronger in the second half of the season. Seems players take a little bit of a time, because we seem to change the squad quite a bit, don't we, at the beginning of each season? Yeah. And this is the first season where we've hit the ground running with the new players that we've brought in. And I know that it's a lot of it has reverted back to the majority of the players that the heart of the team has been players from League Two. But I still think it's definitely, we'll be in the playoffs. We'll definitely be in the playoffs. That's the way I see.
Well, I was going to ask Gaz, actually, being the fan guest, what was your expectations at the start of the season, and have they changed since the new year?
Yeah, I definitely thought we'd ride the wave of momentum. I think that we'd be up there. I'd be more confident saying, yes, we're knocking on the playoffs, especially with the start that we had. But to answer the kind of second part of that, and probably to go back a moment, it's the amount of injuries the team gets. If you look at this season already and last season, that's why we're having to buy extra players, have an inflated squad. I think we've got, like Andy said, I'm now fearful, have we got the goals? Because, Will Collar's stepping up, he's bagging a goal here and there. Macaulay South-Males back post with a header. We're crying out for, a striker to step up. So now, being honest, in terms of before the signings, I'm like top 10 is more realistic, because I think we're going to drop off a little bit on the basis that we haven't got a Barry that can pull us out of a hole and get that point away at Barnsley or that goal at Wrexham at home, which maybe put us in a slightly false position to start with. But I don't want to be too negative. Yes, we're absolutely, there's some big players in the league. Birmingham can just bugger off. They can get out the league. But the league isn't, really, really strong. I don't think we're out of place. I think we can compete. Yes, we should be knocking on the door if we can get a few shrewd signings to get those goals, because I think we're all right defensively, other than the first 5 minutes of a game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's goals that I'm just a little bit worried about right now.
But do you think that we might share those goals out around the team now rather than it just being Barry scoring them goals?
Yeah, I think we have to because we haven't got, a Jason Oswell that's going to come and bag 20 goals, whoever it is. I just don't think we're going to bring someone in that's going to have the Barry impact. So, yes, we're going to have to. So, does that mean we have to change the way we play a little bit? Perhaps, but I don't know if we've got much of a plan B. It's kind of we play this way and we hope for the best a bit, but probably doing a bit of a disservice. But yeah, I think the signings are going to be key because I think pre-season, some of the signings, again, there's a few that I'm just wanting more from. I'm expecting a bit more, but they do deserve a bit of a run as well. So again, like Russ said, let's be fair and give them a chance.
Yeah.
And the closest we've got to Barry is Diamond. It's just his final decision or his final ball is just not there. If you can,
just a bit rough.
Yeah.
I like it. I like just. I think with the transfers, we're in a very similar position to what we were in last season, where we're all crying out for Watts' replacement because Watts was injured. And they basically said, we're going to take, the club came out and unofficially said, we're going to take a chance on not signing a Barry replacement because if Barry then comes back fit, was this the right, sure he's the right player. Was it before the start of the season? We were asking for, or was it just before the transfer? Anyway, I think with the likes of Rydell, Noyle, Maka, all starting to put in some minutes and play some decent football. For me, just get 2 or 3 loan signings, sort the defence out, stop those leaky goals going in early, get some goals up top. And for me, that'll do. Especially with likes of Diamond and Febs coming back as well.
Yeah, just get the final bit to their game and you've got some players there, haven't you? And that's it. Yeah. It's almost like, oh, come on, you need a scruffy one to go in. So you look at like Barry's goal at Barnsley that trickles over the line, second attempt. We need some of them to go in and confidence will be sky high and, your Fevs and your Diamonds will start becoming bigger players, all being well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Shall we move on to getting reses?
Yeah. Can I just say one thing first of all? The Edgeley Con Club coaches, obviously, which is run by Steve Cunningham. Big thank you to obviously Steve for the coaches on Sunday and the 4 stewards who basically had to make sure every single one of us were on that coach before pit stops. And let's face it, I was in a pretty bad state coming home. If you can manage to get me onto a coach, off a coach, and then back on a coach, I wasn't that bad. But let's just a big thanks to all of them anyway, because you did a brilliant job.
You wasn't that bad, but everybody watch the vlog and wait for the final 20 seconds.
Yeah, but that's unfair because that was like a half an hour little sleep. And then I was back on the game again. And when we arrived back in Stockport, well, you know what I mean?
He was playing tiddlywinks.
Right, game reses.
Yeah, let's do it.
Get in the reses.
Come on, get in reses.
Get in the reses.
Get in reses. That's rubbish. Get in reses.
I'm not having that. Get in reses.
I mean, who's got one? Who wants to go first? I'm struggling again. I've not really thought of one.
I've got 2.
Oh, love it, Andy. Love it. Gaz, have you got to get in reses?
I've got one, yeah, but I don't know if it's been mentioned before or not, but I'll throw it out there.
It doesn't matter. We'll have forgotten anyway.
Do you want me to kick things off?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Anytime it rains in lower tier 1, I get absolutely soaked. So for me, it's the not having the kind of side cover on the Cheadle end because the side wind, like the rain, honestly, it's horrendous. And now I spoke to some of my mates and we were like, it never did this. And it said, well, yeah, it did, but there was loads of space that you could just go and sit in another seat. Now I'm like forced to sit in my seat or get told to move from the aisle. And I'm sick of just having wet jeans. And I take my kids with me as well. So like they're just like almost not wanting to go when it's raining because it's pretty miserable when it rains at Edgeley Park if you sat in certain seats.
Are you trying to say that it's worse than Railway End?
Honestly, I was saying to my friends, I feel sorry for those Birmingham fans when they were there. Not really, but then I'm as wet as they are, even sat in the cover. So, honestly, it's infuriating. But I think some of our mates, we've said like we might move if there's an opportunity to, like maybe to the upper tier or lower tier 2, just to try and get a bit of coverage because it's awful when it rains. Because it seems to. Was it last season when we played on the telly? Was it MK Dons when we had that like downpour of rain? We beat them. It was a big game, but that was a game where I'd been out all day. So I was pretty wet already and exposed. And then that was just like the worst it's been. But again, you know, I'm still sat there expecting the players to perform and score goals and do well. So, yeah, that's mine anyway.
Nice. Is it colder there anyway compared to? I mean, I'm in upper tier 1, so I don't get any of that side wind. But are you generally colder down there anyway, even if you're not getting rained on?
I guess so. It's the fact that it hits like the metal, so you get the drips that aren't going to hit you, but they've hit. So you get in like the drip, and then you get the rain and the wind. But it's like you get like 10, 15 minutes of it, and when it stops, your seat's wet, you're wet. And you just like, oh, how long's left? And some of the games have been like drab, haven't they? So it's like, oh my God, when we're bad, we're bad. When we're good, it clicks and we do well. So I want to be up and off my seat. But yeah, when it's a bit cold and boring, yeah, that wind is vicious.
Yeah. Fair dues, yeah. In the reses.
Yeah.
Andy, one of yours?
One of mine. Oh, I'm only allowed one, or
no? You can. No, just don't. Just one of yours now, and then we'll come back round.
All right, football-related one is generally when you go to an away game, the general rule is you just sit or stand wherever you want. So I was at the game on Sunday, and there must have been about 5 empty seats either side of me. And for the audio listeners, I'm doing a motion of 5 seats to the left, 5 seats to the right. And somebody came up with it. I could see it. I could see it in the corner of my eye. Pardon?
I said, that's because you was pissed. No one wanted to stand next to you.
Well, to be fair, Ian was stood next to me, but I don't know who was more drunk, me or Ian. But I could see in the corner of my eye somebody walking over, holding the ticket like a map, like it's guided them to the seat, right? And they just looked at me and looked at the ticket and went, "These are my seats." I said, "Look, just." Come on, just stand next to me. But they'd wanted me to move like 2 seats over. So I moved from that area and just stood at the front, a bit further to the front. But it's just like the general rule is if your seat's taken up, just find it. You know, there was 2 seats next to me where I was stood. So just sit in that one or stand in that one. And when you look around, everyone was everywhere. There was you had to literally, do a little shimmy down the steps to get past people. Yeah, so that's my football-related one. Sitting anywhere for away games, it makes no difference whatsoever.
Yeah, Jimmy got moved on in front of us, didn't he?
I was going to say Jimmy did in the row in front of us. Yeah, he got moved on.
Yeah, I got moved twice. The first one, I was like, right, fair enough. The second one, it was some guy with his old man, and I was like, oh. So I'm like, okay, come and sit down. You want to sit there or whatever. But I think what's the cut-off point where you can be like, come on, mate, you're 10 minutes into the game now. If you wanted your seat, you should have sat down then. Like, if you're in an hour early, fair enough. But yeah, it's annoying, but you've all got to sit in your seat or you've all just got to sit where you want. And it seems like you're never going to.
Yeah, but I understand if somebody's not able to stand for a long time.
Yeah, I get that. There's going to be circumstances, isn't there?
You get into
4,000 other seats you can sit in as well. Don't sit in one of them.
Yeah, if you want your specific seat, you go and sit there early.
Get early, and then you've got
reality. You can't. 10 minutes into the game, come and go. Oh, sorry, mate, that's my seat. Or as you say, Andy, that 5 seats either side of you, and they're like, no, that's my seat. I need to sit there.
To be fair, I was drunk, so it could have been 1 seat either side of me. I probably exaggerated that a little bit, but But the point still stands, doesn't it? If there's a seat next to me and you're only holding one ticket, then just sit in that seat. Don't ask me to move because I'm just going to look at you and go, "What?"
That's your natural reaction.
That's my natural reaction. Yes.
I've got that Father Ted scene in my head where he's talking to, is it Dougal, and he goes, "The cows in the field are far away. This one's very small." That's him with his seats, isn't it? Just pissed. Like, don't know how many seats there are. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, people who move, I think we can all agree, can't we, in a vote, that people who move people on away days can get in the reses, really, can't they?
Yeah.
Like you say, I think, Gaz, you said it. If you want to sit in your actual seat, just go sit in it early because then you sat in it.
Yeah.
I think the cutoff should be. I think the cutoff should be 10, 15 minutes before kickoff. That's the cutoff.
Or generally, whenever I'm going to my seat, if you're in your seat before I get there, then you're fair enough. You've made the cut.
When I get there, I know, like, mate, it's got main character syndrome. No,
let's face it, because I'm generally.
I'm it.
Oh, how else? In fairness, this is my getting the reses.
Russ, there was 25 seats either side of him. Right?
I know.
He was stood there. There was 25 seats.
I'm defending my argument.
It was my away day in my Crystal Palace.
Well, it was my away day. Just like when you saw to somebody else,
there, Russ.
It would be your away day. So it was my getting the reses. And my point was that generally I'm, in inverted commas, right? I'm normally pretty much the last one in the ground. So if you're not in your seat by the time I'm getting to the ground, then I'm sorry. If you're not in your seat by the time I get there, then it's a fair game.
Right. Okay. Let's move on. Generally speaking, yes, it can get in the reses. Waggy, what's yours?
Pyro, when the teams walk out.
Oh,
what shit was that at Palace? Jesus Christ, I'm lucky that I've still got eyebrows. It was so fucking hot. And it was like, it didn't seem, there is still there. Look, there they go. They're hiding behind my glasses. They're a bit sings, that's why I've got them hidden. It was just like the setup and everything, and that one guy walking around like with this big control paddle one, he was like, "Oh, I'm the power." Ding, 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 ding. And it was like, it was just a bit shit. I thought I didn't get it, and it didn't really seem to rise the fans or anything like that, did it? It was just. I mean, it was pretty chilly when we were stood near the front.
I was going to say, I quite liked it.
It was pretty chilly stood near the front, so it was like, "Whee! Let's get the marshmallows out." But it was shit.
Yeah. Generally speaking, like a firework display or similar, why would you do that in daylight as well? Like,
exactly. It was in daylight. It wasn't a night game or anything like that. It's daylight. It was just, that's my getting the reses. Pyro before a game. It was shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we can all agree that I can get in the reses. Mine's dead quick because it's related to yours, Waggy. It was the how do you call it? It was like the walk-on music. I don't get me wrong, I love the track. This is God is a DJ, was it? This is in my church. So it was Faithless, wasn't it? Which I thought was brilliant. And the graphics were well done, but it was that I think behind it there was the fake crowd noise, wasn't they? So you had this fake crowd noise that they were generating over the speakers with a really good track in Faithless, but it was all misdirected, if you like. And I just thought that's all a bit wanky, to be honest.
Yep. And John Billsbury adds to that cheerleaders.
Did they have cheerleaders?
There was cheerleaders stood next to the when the players were coming up. I know the tunnel was a bit far away, Russ, and you didn't have your new readers on. But there was cheerleaders. There was cheerleaders in the tunnel.
I couldn't tell if they were dead near or dead far, like at the number of Andy's seats. I couldn't tell.
How far away then? How far away then?
Hang on. Whilst we're having a go at other people, readers are for the short stuff, Waggy, not the long stuff. So it doesn't matter if he had them all. Anyway, carry on.
Oh, good technicality. Good technicality. Anyway, I thought that was a bit wanky. I hope we never do that at County. It was more the manufactured crowd noise, I think.
Yeah.
If it's a good song and good graphics, I think that's probably okay, but not the manufactured sound crowd noise. Andy, what's your second get in the reses, which was non-football related?
Non-football related. To do what? No. Although you're going to get a load of grabbers for your birthday, aren't you, Russ?
You're going to get a load of grabbers for your birthday. And if you turn up on a away game without a grabber, you're fucking getting lynched. You're not getting on the coach.
I've already got one. And I'm bringing it to the next away game or home game, whatever. My next one, the non-football related one, well, I like the comment from Gazendo, sorry. When you're parking in a space in the car park and you've not quite finished doing your maneuver, and then the car either side of you drives off and you panic and you think you're still moving. Can't that car just wait until I've finished parking up? Because you know when you park up, it's not really a thing, is it? It's more of just a moan. You know when you park up, do you know what
Say it again to us. And you might
say it again, Andy. We'll just let you talk and just sit here like quiet. You're the main character.
I am. I don't really know what it is.
Why don't we just put drivers into the reses? Because I don't know what it is, but since COVID, right, you can go out and drive for not even a mile, and I bet that you come across 2 whoppers on the road.
Oh, do you know one of my favourite is when you've been waiting at lights for an eternity, and the car in front
doesn't.
I start to count. 15 seconds. What are you doing for 15 seconds? And then they go, and then it winds me up. Don't half wind me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just general, what we call them, whopper drivers?
COVID drivers.
COVID.
No, just
COVID drivers.
Yeah.
Just drivers.
Whoppers.
So every single driver on the road is a whopper.
Pretty much, yeah. But I am sometimes, but it just seems disproportionate. You see it more than you've ever seen it, don't you? Do you not agree? It's just ridiculous out there. Anyway, maybe I'm just getting older.
One more that a few of my friends noticed. I didn't, but a few of my friends noticed there was half and half scarves at Palace. So Palace and County scarves. And I'm like, the FA Cup ground in that game is not a big enough of an occasion to justify taking a memento home like that. And
no, it should never happen anyway.
No.
Kids
maybe, if you go Barcelona and you possibly, but County versus Palace, like that's a little bit the only aspect of the day where I felt, they're kind of rubbing us on our head like, there you go, little Stockport. Whereas actually we've got loads of heritage and we've been up there with the big boys. But yes, realistically, we're a small club coming up if you look at it the last few years. But come on, the reality is, we've got massive history and no one's going to buy that. However, many did, because there was a few spotted in the away end. It was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I think we put half and half scarves in the reses before, but they can get redunked.
Yeah,
well, they can, because they weren't our half and half scarves, were they? They were.
No,
now
yes,
it is.
So
yeah.
First time I've ever heard of it as well. Like maybe Wembley, if they've done it there, perhaps, but I've never seen it in like an FA Cup
for a county game.
Oh god,
absolutely.
I'm just making a note. Get Gaz half and half.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll wave it for you.
Right. Good place to end. Gaz, cheers for coming on, mate. We'll get you back on definitely at some point, if that's all right.
Yeah, appreciate your time, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, nice to meet you properly anyway.
Yeah,
and cheers to everybody. We will see you, if you go to the game on Saturday. I'm not, but if you go to the game, enjoy it, and we will see you back on the Courtyard Club Call on Monday or the show next week. And happy birthday to us. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!